Hello and welcome to Body Geeks TV. I'd like to start talking today about the thing which is upmost on my mind, which is the Easter egg diet. If you haven't seen episode 1, where I talk about what and much more importantly why the Easter egg diet is, the Easter egg diet is basically me living on a diet of almost 100% chocolate for a month to prove that it's possible to eat carbs and still lose weight. The way I've been doing this is to eat a set number of calories made up of chocolate and chocolatey things, and then also to take some fibre and vitamins, things like that, and just basically just try and ignore the hunger. So it started off kind of fun. I was getting like a half an Easter egg and like making it into a little pretend cereal bowl and like pour some chocolate buttons into it and pretend I was eating a bowl of cereal with its own chocolate. But yeah, I don't know, the novelty's definitely worn off now. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing because it's not like I'm feeling weak or feeling tired, I'm just feeling like amazingly hungry, and because of the fact that chocolate has got so many calories in it, you can't actually eat that much of it if you're aiming to not gain weight, which obviously I'm aiming to not do. And there's no fibre and there's no protein in chocolate bars either, so you're just kind of constantly wanting something to fill your belly, which you don't get. That's been the hardest part by far, and it's funny because I did the Velocity diet, as I've mentioned a couple of times, at the beginning of this year, and that's a liquid diet. You don't eat anything really at all. You just drink protein shakes, and I wasn't hungry at all on that for the first 2 weeks or maybe even more than that. And yeah, 3 days in I was actually really kind of like, I don't think I can do this. But it's got better. I started taking some fibre supplements in like a chocolate milkshake thing. I'm going to show you how that works actually. It's not pretty. But yeah, that's kind of made things easier, and I'm going to be eating this weekend, which is kind of in 3 days, so you know, yay! Anyway, moving on to my dietary woes, we get to catch up with Julie. It's week 2 for her at the moment, and we're still in the honeymoon phase of our little 12-week project, so things are going well. She's still kind of happy, which is good. Here's what she had to say for herself this week.
Here we are at the beginning of week 2, and I have found the food part to be easier than I thought it would be, because mainly down to my husband, who's been cooking really tasty meals full of green things and chicken and vegetables, and cooks in olive oil instead of butter. It's very good, and there's always tons of leftovers in the fridge when I get hungry for lunch, so that's been easy. I don't know what I would do without him, but I guess I'm going to have to find out in a few weeks when he goes back to New York. The working out part is fine. I can work out by myself and just try to pretend like Steve's there yelling at me, and so it's all been good. I'm not optimistic that I will still be so happy in 2 or 3 weeks, but at this point I'm not. What is it? What's the word? Whinging.
So cool, that's it for Julie for week 2. Obviously we'll be catching up with her again next week for week 3 and seeing how she's getting on. Next I want to talk about something, and I'm sorry, I promise I'm not going to talk about like women and their body issues every single episode. I'm definitely not going to be doing that. But I saw something in the media a couple of days ago and it just amazed me so much I needed to talk about it. And that is a study which was done in universities around England, where they went around and they surveyed girls in universities and asked them about their body image and what they would like to change and what they'd be willing to give up if they could get their perfect body shape. And it really amazed me because they started off asking normal things like, oh, so, you know, would you give up X amount of money, or would you give up a promotion at work? And then they said, would you give up a year of your life? And people were still saying yes. So 30% of women would give up at least 1 year of their life if they could get their ideal body shape, if they could, you know, be magically transformed into their ideal body. Much more amazingly than that, 1% of these women, and I don't know sadly how many that 1% equates to, but even if it's one person, 1% of the women who responded in this survey said that they would give up 21 years of their life, which is kind of like a quarter of your life. They're going to give that away to spend the rest of their time with an ideal body shape. And I just find that unbelievably sad and depressing, because it really just underlines how powerless and how unable people feel to change their bodies and change the way that they live their lives. And whenever I hear about stuff like this in the media, it just makes me ask one question, which is, how is it, like seriously, how is it that so many people know so little about exercise and nutrition that they feel that they are so powerless to do something about their bodies that they would actually give up portions of their life in order to have that work done for them? It just really saddens and depresses me. Anyway, moving on from that, the last thing I want to talk about today is something else in the media which kind of made me go, and then go, which is, it's this thing called neuroethics. which is basically a kind of new field where people are looking at drugs which actually alter people's moral behaviour and moral compass. And the thing is, obviously on the face of it, there are lots of arguments for that. And it means you give this drug to all the psychopaths and murderers and rapists and all the generally bad people in the world who kind of do horrible things and make them into nice people. But then you think, okay, but should we ever really mess with that? We're changing fundamentally who and what these people actually are by giving them these drugs. And of course we do already use drugs to change people's behaviour. That's not a new thing, it's just, I guess it feels like this is a new line to be crossing when we're talking about people's actual morality and what they'd be willing to do. And obviously the negative side of that is we could have evil drugs which make people do horrible things or make people have no conscience about killing people in like a war situation, for instance. So yeah, I don't know. And that basically is my question for the day. What do you think about the whole issue of being able to tamper with people's morals? Do you think we should pursue that for the good it could do, or do we think we should abandon it because of the bad it could do? Answers in the comments below if you'd be so kind. So that's it for today. We have the first Body Geeks workout video should be online by the end of the week, hopefully by the end of Friday I'm aiming for, maybe beginning of Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. Links to more information about all the stuff I've talked about today will be in the description below, and of course next week I'll be back with more stuff and things, so I'll see you then.